sound to the boundary. From the bongo drum to the roller guitar side. Well, ever since Europe come and she make bassa bassa, we jamming it. Calypso, calypso, calypso music. Yeah, yeah. Calypso, calypso, calypso. Music.
Yes, my straight talk family, I won't stop until I reach the top. It is incumbent upon me, it is imperative that I first apologize for this tardy start tonight. This was due to some connectivity problems, or rather, some technical problems over there in St. Kitts, but I do apologize for this tardy start, and I know you have been deprived of your time, but I'll give you back as much as I can. But it's time for me to say good night, St. Kitts and Nevis, and good night to the entire Caribbean region. To those who are logged on to the World Wide Web, those in the Kittitian and Namibian diaspora, I say greetings to all of you. I know that some of you are in Asia. There's some of you in Europe, and there are a whole lot of you all over North America. So I am at liberty to say good night. I can't say good morning, or in some cases, I can say good afternoon. If you're joining me for the first time as well, I want to say welcome and trust and hope that it would not be your last time. And to let you know that Straight Talk is heard every Monday and Thursday from 8 to 10 p.m. on Radio ZSZ, and we give you access by our social media platforms as well, Facebook and YouTube. We are back on YouTube as well, but that you have to go to Ian Patches Live, but that's a particular direct YouTube feed. Straight Talk is a public service program that facilitates and promotes free expression on all issues of national interest, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, you do have a forum to express yourselves freely. Let's in the process continue to keep St. Kitts and Nevis as one of the freest countries in the entire world. On this program, we try also to raise the level of national discourse. We try to raise the level of national consciousness by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligations. My name is Ian Patches Liburd, and I give Almighty God thanks for blessing me with yet another opportunity to join you in conversation on yet another occasion. And just to let you know that Straight Talk is a participative program. By that I mean we include your calls, we include your emails, And if you're so minded to call, you can access the program via 465 2555 and or 718 577 2916. Yeah, those who like what I call the cloak of anonymity. You don't want to be heard, for whatever reason, we give you access via our email platform, which is zizstraightalk at gmail.com. That's ziz straight talk at gmail.com. And just to let you know, an update on our COVID-19 situation in St. Kitts Nevis, things are still looking good, good in the sense of it's improving from where we came from just a few weeks ago in May to where we are today. We have just, as of today, it was reported at 6 p.m. today that there were 3 confirmed cases in the last 24 hours. So the total number of cases stand to date at 560 confirmed COVID-19 cases. There are some 519 recovered and only 38 active cases. Yes, one additional on Nevis. There's now 19 in on Nevis and some 541 on St. Kitts. The deaths still remain at 3, unfortunately, but we trust and hope that there will be no more. And the only solution, or one of the solutions, is to get vaccinated. And we are happy that the rollout program is still on the up and up. There are now 71.2% of our population over the age of 18 that have received their first dose, and some 58.9% has received their second dose. And I can only appeal to my fellow citizens, go out and get vaccinated. The best vaccine is the one that's available to you. We have one available to us, that's the AstraZeneca, and I implore you to go out so we can ease all these restrictive measures, so I can come home without going to medical jail, without being quarantined for 3 or 4 days. I want to see you. I want to come home. So help me. Help all of us. Help those who cannot get vaccinated. The pregnant mother, our elderly, our senior citizens. I hate to say elderly, the senior citizens in particular. But help the country to get back to normalcy. I understand that the cruise industry is on the way there, and we are happy to learn that the cruise ship, in fact, rolled in to the Bastille Harbor today, and I believe it went over. Is it today? Yes, today, yes. Over to Friars Bay. But tonight, I wish, with your concurrence, to address the issue of street vending, which I did sometime last year. And it is an important issue that has been hotly debated in recent times. And like everything else in St. Kitts and Nevis, there can never be a pure, rational discussion without the injection of politics. It is just as if there is an ongoing battle between political minds and factions, which epitomizes or provides what I call a typical example of what General Karl von Clausewitz wrote in his book entitled On War. The Prussian general opined that war is the continuation of politics by other means. What I believe that meant is that politics and war have the same expected outcome, to wit, defeating and dominating all opposition, and as the famous leader once put it, using all means necessary. The only difference is, in today's world of advanced technology and the era of talk radio and social media, perhaps we can flip that proposition on its other side to read, politics is the continuation of war by other means. That, I believe, will better fit into the contemporary social facts that tend to shape the beliefs, morals, the norms, and other values of individuals in society. I intend, however, to look at street vending in the context of our own urban development in St. Kitts. And I do so intentionally because in 2015, through calculated insight, through calculated vision and awareness of critical and special issues which can be experienced within the urban centers, the Team Unity government, in its wisdom, established the Urban Development Unit or Department, UDU. It was expected that the UDU would create programs and initiatives that were needed to generate an array of benefits via the implementation of projects that will address the specific challenges faced in the urban areas throughout the country. Initial focus was placed on the revitalization of Basseterre and the town of Sandy Point. I don't know how many of us are aware that in Sandy Point, it had its own customs department, a pier, a public market, a post office, a hospital, and other services. Well, it still has all of the mentioned services except the customs house and the pier, I believe. So Sandy Point, we all should know, is an historic town. So when attempts were made by the Douglas Labour administration to develop the La Valley area, I believe that such a project would have positively impacted on the town of Sandy Point. I think it was a great idea to try to develop the La Valley Resort. Remember this?
The government is spearheading the development of the La Valley Resort. Phase 1 of this development, namely the construction of a championship golf course, is almost finished. And the government will shortly enter into an agreement to implement Phase 2 of that project, which comprises the setting down of some 200 multi-million-dollar luxury houses. Simultaneously, plans are being made to introduce Phase 3 of the La Valley project, which comprises a 500-room, 5-star hotel with a marina to follow thereafter. Several ancillary and other associated businesses will emerge from this particular project.
Could you imagine what a positive impact that the Valley Resort development would have had on the grassroots economy of Sandy Point and the surrounding villages? But for the corrupt practices of the Douglas Labour administration and people within and intimately close to that administration, that project went south, as we say in colloquial terms. How many of us remember that green galvanized fence that stretched miles to secure the area at La Valley and allegedly constructed by the bosom friend of Douglas. That was a story never contested.
I invested whatever little money I earned. As soon as I get it, and my good friend Halva tell me an opening, boy, this is something we could do, bam, I go.
It was alleged that his good friend was the contractor of that green galvanized fence, which eventually disappeared. The 2.5 megawatt generator and a desalination plant with a 2,000 gallons per day capacity still lay idle at La Valley. His former minister of tourism he personally signed a 20 million US dollar or a nigh 60 million EC dollar contract to develop La Valley Greens, and to date he has not accounted for 1 cent on that project. When asked the question, this was his response. And the country still needs answers. Minister Astafan.
Apparently, he wants me to explain to the nation why I, as a minister, signed an agreement. But it seems as though he wants me to explain why I signed. I'm told that he said he's not accusing anybody of bubble, but that he was just asking, where's the money? That's what I'm told, right? And I don't remember. But let me say what I have to say. I'm not saying it didn't happen.
You can't say it didn't happen because his signature is on that contract, a $60 million contract. The last thing that the Douglas Labour administration did was to swap acres of the La Valley land for debt. But thank God, a caring Prime Minister Harris and his team Unity administration recovered these lands and revived the hope of revitalizing the town of Sandy Point as part of the initiatives of the urban development thrust of Team Unity. Through planned initiatives, programs and projects, the Urban Development Department was mandated to address and find solutions to the specific challenges faced in the urban areas throughout the country. Some of its programs included, but were not limited to, transportation, open spaces and abandoned properties, the national park, waste disposal, historical preservation, entry points into towns and villages, Port Zante, and urban housing solutions, as well as our focus for tonight, which is street vending. And for information, some of those planned initiatives and projects mentioned earlier have been already implemented, which include the new ferry terminal or waiting lounge at the ferry terminal, the upgrading of the West Bus Line terminal, my straight dog family, and as well as the East Bus Line terminal, along with the introduction of traffic lights or traffic signals to the Basti area, and the removal of derelict vehicles from the city with the assistance of the Solid Waste Management Agency or Corporation. So our main focus, as I said, as part or in the context of urban development, is street vending. And writing in the journal published by the International Organization of Scientific Research, IOSR, Charit Baumik opined that street vending is universal across the world, especially in developing countries. In the working paper number 51 of 2008 on street trade in Africa, a review, Caroline Skinner wrote, and I quote, "Statistics provided show that street vending accounts for 15 to 25% of total informal employment in Africa's cities and contributes between 46 to 70% of total trade value added in Benin, Burkina Faso, beg your pardon, Chad, Kenya, Mali, and Tunisia, to name a few African cities. In New York, there are more than 10,000 street vendors, hot dog vendors, flower vendors, book vendors, street artists, and many others. There are small business people struggling to make ends meet. Most are immigrants and people of color. They work long hours under harsh conditions, asking for nothing more than a chance to sell their goods on the public sidewalk. Sometimes they receive tickets in the amount of $1,000 for minor violations, like vending too close to a crosswalk. More than any big business are required to pay for similar violations. Now, while I'm not privy to our own statistics in St. Kitts Nevis, I believe that we would all agree that street vendors represent a very important segment of the unorganized sector in the country. It cannot be disputed that street vendors constitute an important segment of the urban population at the bottom of the pyramid. It provides a source of employment, or a source of self-employment, I should say, and thus acts as a measure of urban poverty alleviation without major government intervention. Street vending also has a prominent place in the urban supply chain and provides inexpensive and convenient access to goods and services to all segments of the population, including the poor. Street vending, however, generates enormous controversy throughout St. Kitts. And I'm focusing on St. Kitts because I am not privy to what's happening in our sister island of Nevis, although I understand that has been taken care of across the channel. Debates involve registration and taxation, health and safety regulations, especially where food is involved, pedestrian traffic and safety, concerns, and urban policies to control and govern. Like everywhere else in the world, in St. Kitts and Nevis, the pandemic has put a strain on businesses large and small alike, thus deriving the lack of job opportunities and forcing people into street vending in order to earn an honest living. But street vending existed long before, but mushroomed as a consequence of the closures that have had a significant impact on the economy. Prior administrations heard the cry of many citizens, but never had the political will to execute the legislation they introduced. For example, in 2002, the Street and Sidewalk Vending Prohibition Act was introduced, Cap 18.33, which made provision for the establishment of vending booths at the ferry dock, at Bay Road, Bastille, to prohibit street and sidewalk vending in Bastille, and to provide for incidental matters. The Act stipulates the prohibition on sales along streets, etc., and reads, "The sale of wares, merchandise, and goods on or along the streets, sidewalks, or other public places in the town of Bastille, in the absence of prior approval of the minister is prohibited. There is also a penalty for those who violated the said legislation, which states at section 4, any person who acts in contravention of section 3 commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine not exceeding $1,000. But I must commend citizens like Jamdong Manners, who's a real patriot, who is never afraid to speak his mind and never vanishes the truth. Jamdong must be credited as the pioneer of this latest move to clean up Basseterre, and we ought to commend him for his courage and upfront positions.
We can't get Basseterre looking like how it looked, with people taking advantage of us. I'm not going to endorse that at all. We elders, them should be able to walk anywhere in Basseterre on the sidewall. And when we see around Basseterre, it hurts to a lot of genuine petitions. The bother, the talking. We have one of the most brilliant cabinet in Basseterre. They drive around Basseterre every day and watching what we see on 4th Street and Liverpool Road. In an empty market, 112 stalls, and not a business in the market. One of the biggest hand for years that to downsize your business because we allow people to just doing as they like in Basseterre. This country have laws, Mr. Prime Minister, and we're not going to support this, especially Jamdong, I will never support that. We need the commerce true around Basseterre, but we must put it in the market. We're not going to support what we're seeing in Basseterre.
Jamdong, never afraid to talk his mind, all in the interests of the improvement and development of our beloved country. What's even more pleasing, though, is the fact that we have a Prime Minister who listens to his people. And in early January 2021, Prime Minister Harris made this announcement. In fact, to be exact, it was on the 14th of January 2021 when Prime Minister Harris said this.
In our view, what is taking place in Basseterre is not consistent with our vision of a beautiful and friendly city which allows pedestrians and motorists orderly, easy, and safe access throughout our city. To regain the best of beautiful Basseterre, Cabinet has approved an interministerial committee to examine and report on the matter of street vending. The committee is broad-based, and it includes representatives from the building board, who has a critical role to play in spatial development, the Ministry of Sustainable Development, Justice, and Legal Affairs. 2 vendors will be on that committee: the Royal St. Christopher Nevis Police Force, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Chamber of Industry and Commerce, the Transportation Board, the Inland Revenue Department, and on Monday we added the Ministry of Health.
So, that interministerial committee was obviously working and made recommendations just recently to the Cabinet. Recommendations were made by its chair, Ms. Faria, who reported this recently.
You said something about the informal sector. We, on the government side, would love to make the transition from the informal sector to the formal sector as smooth as possible for persons who want to come over there. Because not all vendors are from the informal sector. There's some on the streets that are somewhat formalized. They are authorized to be there. And so The person from Inland Revenue gave us ideas in terms of the business, the Occupations and Licenses of Business Act, that act that deals with businesses. And so that interministerial committee, basically, they stood their positions, and we came up with some good issues and recommendations, basically.
They came up with some good issues and recommendations. But there was one omission of the committee, which Mr. Farrier also made mention of. And this omission, he stated, was this.
I did miss out two important facets of that committee. The cabinet wanted to have at least one local vendor and one vendor from overseas on the committee. Unfortunately, we haven't gotten any vendor to attend any committee meeting so far. The meetings are not over. Hopefully we'll soon get somebody there, but the problem with that is most of the vendors on the streets are in competition with each other, and no one vendor seems to be able to speak for all vendors.
But that is in fact an omission and something that has to be addressed sooner rather than later. But there are other stakeholders as well that ought to be consulted and be considered as we put these recommendations in place.
Street vendors are not the only stakeholders in Bastille right now. You have street vendors, you have authorized street vendors, unauthorized street vendors, drivers, especially people driving up Fourth Street. You have pedestrians, the elderly, persons with disabilities, formal traders. You get those persons in a room, and you hear ideas from those persons, and you come up with solutions, because those are the true stakeholders, especially in Bastille.
So, we need to hear from all the stakeholders. I'm surprised though that the matter of relocation of food trucks were not addressed by the Ministry of Urban Development. For a moment I thought that this ministry went on a sabbatical, as that space on North Square Street was cleared for 2 years or more. So these food vendors ought to have been told about relocation. And this food vendor made this complaint.
Give us somewhere that we could do such. Somewhere, that makes sense, that because we are depending on foot traffic. You can't just tell us, go out of town or something like that. Somewhere in the town that is feasible. Bank Street, you could close off Bank Street. Even right around the square, one side of the square. You understand? But just give us something that we could work with. That's all we need. Thank you.
And that's a reasonable request. And as I said, the Ministry of Urban Development, in fact, had prepared that land years ago. So it's a little bit surprising that that issue had to arise. Ironically, nonetheless, there is an International Street Vendors Day celebrated on the 14th of November each year. It's a day calling for the recognition of the contribution street vendors make to our food systems and our lives, and to raise awareness about the significant challenges they face. International Street Vendors Day was started in 2012 by StreetNet International, who support organizing among street vendors around the world to address their common needs and challenges. The modalities I'll have to investigate about that committee or that organization. Despite opening markets and street vending being places where most people buy their food. Government closures to prevent the spread of coronavirus have left millions of street vendors in places like Manila in the Philippines to places like Mumbai in India, have left them jobless without any social protection. In St. Kitts and Nevis, the government decided to create a cluster for street vendors in the public market to control the community spread of the coronavirus and make contact tracing much easier. This has met with some resistance, which no doubt was expected, as change never comes easy, but change is unavoidable. Street vending is an entry into commerce, and the chair of the committee, the interministerial committee, referred to the battle of the informal versus the formal.
I see this as a battle between the informal sector and the formal sector. There are persons in the informal sector that know how to navigate the informal sector and know eventually that in order to live up to their full potential, they might have to formalize themselves. And the government has a lot of help. The government is going to offer a lot of support on that end. There's some people out there right now that are in survival mode because of COVID, and they're new to the informal sector. And so they basically don't understand the rules. There are rules in both sectors, you know. There are rules in the formal sector and there are rules in the informal sector. And if you don't know the rules in the informal sector, you basically are not going to be able to navigate it properly.
But what I would like to say is that we ought to ensure, let us ensure that every vendor, including the formal and informal, wins the battle. It must be a win-win for all. And as Superintendent Henry put it, let us find a balance for all the rights. We must find a balance for all the rights.
I am all for street vendors and street vending. My grandmother was a street vendor. My mother is a street vendor. And so I have absolutely nothing against street vendors and street vending. We have to respect the right of these persons to earn a living, their individual right to work. That is their job. That is how they earn an income. And so they have a right to do that. But at the same time, the public has a collective right to access and to use public spaces. Sidewalks readily comes to mind as one of such public space that the public has a right to. So how do we balance the individual right to earn a living or to work with the public's collective right to use public space?
Well, that's a question I want to ask. How do we balance the collective rights of all the stakeholders? Is the question I ask tonight. And in the process, I must salute all street vendors for their hard work and contribution to the society. I'm sure we all will agree that street vendors are workers with the same right to organization, representation, and social protection as all other workers. So The question is, how do we balance the collective rights of all the stakeholders, the informal, the formal vendors, the pedestrians, and all who use the streets? It's 9 o'clock. I'm going to tarry no longer. I started late, but I'm going to open the lines and entertain your calls without much interruption. But I always like to implore you that when I open the lines, which I'll do just now, I anticipate that you will respect others. And of course, to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us try to be fair to all concerned. Let us try to build goodwill and better friendships. Let us ensure that the things we say and or do will be beneficial to all concerned. And let us, in the process of saying and doing those things, let us strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. It's 2 minutes past the 9 o'clock hour. I'm asking the question again. As soon as the mayor gets back and gets to the lines, how do we balance the collective rights of all stakeholders is the question I ask tonight. I go to the lines, call you live. Yes, caller? Hello, caller? Asking tonight, how do we balance the collective rights of all the stakeholders? Yes, you're live, caller. Yes, caller. Okay, we seem to be having some difficulty with that line. But again, we are addressing the issue of street vending. And we are saluting as well our street vendors for the hard work and contribution to the economy of St. Kitts and Nevis, their contribution to the society overall.
I'm so wonderful
Same
to hear
rights
you.
like others. Let's go back to the lines. Let's see if we get this call again. Caller, you live.
Patrick,
Yes, my brother.
Patrick,
How are you?
you are so wonderful, brother. Hi. Now hear ya.
Thank you.
Hear ya. I will bless the Lord all times. His praise shall continue in my mouth. My soul shall make a boast in the Lord. The humble shall hear it and be glad. Oh, magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt his name together. I sought the Lord, and he heard me, and delivered me from all my fears. Patrick, when you put the trust in God, everything come all right. And it's so wonderful to hear you. Here it says, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide on the shadow of thy mighty. I will say to the Lord, he is my refuge, my fortress, in God will I trust. Surely he shall deliver me from the noise of the fowler, and from the noise of the pestilence. He shall cover me with his feathers. Under his wings of trust. His truth shall be my shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid of the terror by night, nor the hour by flower by day. He said, only with mine eyes shall see the reward of the wicked. Now, he will cover with his feathers. Parted when he dwell in the sacred place of the Most High, he will cover you. There shall no evil fall you. And Mr. Patrick, tonight I thank you to talk to you again. It is so wonderful to listen to you. And I am saying, God, by God's grace, God will take you through. And I am thanking you for every Thursday night and Monday night to call in. And I'm thanking, there are people there are people listening all over the world. And I want to tell them that God is good. God looks after his children. When you put your trust in God, God will look out for you. So hold on the Lord and give your life totally over to the Lord. So God will deliver you from all harm and danger. Patrick, good night. See you. Bye.
Yes, good night, my brother man, the Bible man. Trust in God, and he'll never let you be ashamed. Call you live.
Good evening, Honorable. Now, with your opening statement there, in between it, now, it seems like the government commit a crime because the government never put nobody on the street to sell. The government never give nobody no license to sell on the street. They get a license for what establishment they had. And they come out the establishment and they come on the road. You understand me? So the whole trouble, they ask them to go in the market. And this thing been going on for years. For years it been going on to go in the market. And they get away with it. And the street just keeps plucking up and plucking up. The government, if they never care about people, they could have moved them a long time ago. But they know things were hard with people. And they try their very best to work with them. But now they turn around and making the government like they commit a crime. They're guilty of something. You know, now, Patrick, when you see people like that, right, and the government is a caring government that's looking for people's interests and looking for people to make a living by all means while you ain't breaking the law. You understand me? I live in New York. From the time Mayor Julian came in, he decided that street vending have to stop. They push off a vacant lot and they put the pave it and the mark it out for vendors. And you could not go back on the street to sell. And who was on the street and they catch them? You should see people running with the things in a sheet. From the time they spot the police, they pick up everything in a sheet and they go running down the alleyways and the front things like that. Well, here's come a man gonna take a car, park it, 4 flat tires, and he's selling out the truck. But that the police should have dealt with that. And also the health department. You know, the government ain't had to go look in a place, but there is a caring government. They went and look a place to put them in.
Now, down there where they had them in all kind of things. The fact remains, the government had them there, and they were paying to stay inside there. But the greedy man they had, who was Minister of Tourism and National Security, he went and sold the place behind his family back. And the man who bought the place went and bought up the place. So the place is sold. One day you call me and tell you who the place is sold to. Right? And the man buy up the place. Because he was collecting the money and he giving the other family and them none. So they get wrecked and they decide to talk about it, and they see sell the place to, well, I almost call the person name, but they sell the place. But the government has done the best. I don't see where the government should be guilty for telling a man to come off the street. The government had to go look in a place to put them. The public market was there. When we had street vendors before, it's crazy, yes. We had on the street a woman there, she lives saltfish and she sugar cake and she nuts and things. But then they bring porridge and take up the whole of the sidewalk. The other guy used to cook right there with currant, right on the sidewalk, frying chicken leg, right there on the sidewalk. Now suppose some children get out the mother and run on the road and run right into that. You know what happened? The person burned up and maybe nothing go for it because they had no insurance and nothing. You see? So those are the things. And Patrick, let me tell you something. I see a man calling about 4 or 5 times today, abusing the government. He is one of the first people to get the house roof fixed, and he don't back the government. And the old material that come off the house roof, he taking half a part of the playground of the village, fence it with this tall fence, taking part of the playground. And up to now, nobody from the building board and all them kind of things go and say nothing about it. But he could go on the radio and things. They had a young guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm coming up now, Patches. They had a young guy who got knocked down by a guy on a motorbike. And up to now, the man ain't get nothing. Up to now. And they say they care. They care for the man. They care for people. You understand me? And they're making millions of dollars a day. And begrudge are giving the man something or they break him up. You understand me? God don't like ugly and you don't care too much for pretty. But the more like the bun, the more unity can see the way. You understand me? And God can bless all of you. And bless the Prime Minister and everybody. God bless you too, Patches. Good night to everybody.
Good night, my dear brother. You know, on straight up, like I said, we do not varnish the truth. And straight up, we say, yes, there was a mayor, as you said, rightly moved the people off the streets. But other mayors have come. Right now in New York, there are thousands of vendors on the street. But let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live.
Patrice, good night.
Good night.
Good night, Patrice. Yeah, Patrice, first I want to thank God for this generation of Think It Nevis. We are so blessed. And we got to admit it that we're in a blessed country. I will never stop saying so. In spite of the negative things and in spite of this COVID, the distractors them want to come with it. But we who love our country, we got to be real and conscious. And when they come with the distraction, we got to master them with that. Patrice, I want to thank God for the team unity government. I do not think that If this team unity break up, I do not think we'll get a government so caring as much as this team unity government, who's working hard for the ordinary man and woman in the Federation of Think It Nevis. Pat is here. It was so sad to see that when you lose a seat, but you know, that something happened, and whatever happened, that only God knows. But team unity is going on, and team unity is progressing. And I believe that with these distractors, them who try to distract and try to say all manner of things about the Prime Minister and the team unity government, they will not get it to work. Patty, when I listen to some, Patty, what the topic was? Patty, what your opening statement was?
I am looking at the issue of street vending.
Oh, street vending, okay. But Patty,
yes.
Well, you know, 4 years back, we always got problem with different government with street vending. Pedestrians call out.
That's true.
And all kind of people call out and talk about street vending. And it was a problem to a lot of people, especially elderly people, who go into the bank, who go into the business, and the sidewalk full up of people. And as far as I'm concerned, you know, is the vendors them who make this problem for themselves, you know. That is. Because when one vendor see what a vendor do, he come there. When one see she come there, she come there. And got big umbrellas, big parasol up and down over the road. Even people passing up the whole street, they could touch them. And that was bad. And but it's all the team unity government could get things done in this country, you know. Only this team unity, this government got to get credit. Now the team unity government come and they see that the problem, they see the cry of people, you know. Now, nobody said that vendors will put out their job or put out their work, because I'm sure the government glad to each and every man and woman who in this country could find a job for themselves. You understand? Because it's better for the economy, it's better for the government. They won't got to say that it's better for the private sector and everybody. But when the government try to do everything that is right in this country, the critics then come on and say all kind of negative things. It's just like somebody someone who's so close Christ. So she's so close Christ. When I listen to her and I read the talk show today, backing up a man who defend the farmer leader for 20 years in government doing all kind of wrong, emotional or confident, and that same lady was calling in and criticizing that same man. I'm surprised now I hear that Christian who's so close Christ, but them not bitch off Christ, you know, and them not bitch Christ in a pattern. Them kind of people like bitch Christ, so me not got to study with them when they talk. We 98% literate people, education is free and skillful here in this country. Everybody want to change, everybody want to learn, they could go learn something. And not look at them that could change people's mind from this unity government. Backing up this man who got views in cutting everybody because they support unity government. He ain't going to take the vaccine, he just that because he ain't go, he party in power. But parties, I got good news for them. Let them come. Mr. Politics, Mr. Culture, we got good news to them and others and jam down them. We got news for them. This unity government must stay. Parties are a wonderful night. May God bless the Federation, Think It Nevis, and we got to go from strength to strength. All right.
God bless you as well. You go straight back to the lines. Call your line.
Yes. Good evening, Patrick. You call us in the secular, look at them one get in. And what I want you to do for me, and all the government, say that they need a good overhaul. Because since in the 1960s, they got all them equipment up there. And you all need to stop buying more smooth on the radio and fix up the radio station. And give it people a week pay. The hooking up there while I am fixing the radio station. Because they got a lot of static into the radio thing. And plus looking at boys, These young boys don't work for team unity. And now you want to come tell me that one somebody come and overhaul all these land and they had more money than God? What did they do with their money? What did they do with their money when they had more money than God? That they come down here. No, we don't, unity don't work the young boys. I'm up standing in the car and picking up people. Come out for unity. And now you want to tell me that it's a dump for them? By the one that do the farming just like anybody else. Right? And I go in Cooley, go look me saltfish. And I go walk the Cooley to look me saltfish. Nobody with nobody. And all who hiding behind the keyboard and chatting and saying this and saying that. Nobody call me name and nobody saying about me. See you, Patis.
Thank you very much. That's what I said to you. Politics is the continuation of war by other means. Let's go back to the lines. Call your line. Hello, caller. Yes, caller. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am peaceful. That's my warrior from Nevis.
What I know me. Yes,
you sound subdued tonight.
Me. Eh?
You sound subdued tonight.
I saw what?
You got your mask on?
No, man, I'm not sleeping. You know, I just wake up. I doze off. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Patrick. People could say, whether they were overseas or underseas, they were overseas before me. But let me tell them, I travel out to St. Kitts, but St. Kitts never travel out to me. Anywhere I go, I remember where I come from. And Patrick, we hear them talk about land where they clean with food, maybe some marijuana or something. And they're saying that the Prime Minister was against the marijuana, and now all of a sudden now he for it. We're going to become the Rasta man and so. But I want to tell them, you hear? When you got a Prime Minister who could change your mind, that is so good. When you got a Prime Minister and say, whenever he wants to do anything, nobody could change your mind, that is bad. When a Prime Minister could change your mind, that is good. And somebody was saying the poor can't take no more. The poor getting more now. The poor couldn't get no more, take no more. And that's why in 2015 they went and changed the government. So the poor getting more now, Patrice. So with all of them who want to hear them talk, Prime Minister Harris, God bless you. And I know that talk about land and Rastaman and marijuana and you're bringing in people to invest in land, but I know all the Rastaman them are you safe. Prime Minister Harris saying only fire out. Thank God he changed his mind because he doesn't listen to people. He hear the cry of the people. Thank God for Timothy Harris. And everybody, good night, touches. And let me tell them, whether me overseas or wherever, think it is my home. Think it's never travel out to me. I travel out to St. Kitts. And nobody gonna make me stop talking. I'm gonna talk as much as I like and let them say what they want. If they want to cuss me, they meet me on the road. Because when I don't cuss them, it's the fire truck one have to come. I should see you. Bye.
Thank you very much. You know, I like you said, he listened to the people. And the Prime Minister listened to the people and set up this committee.
In our view, what is taking place in Bastia is not consistent with our vision of a beautiful and friendly city which allows pedestrians and motorists orderly, easy, and safe access throughout our city. To regain the best of beautiful Bastia, Cabinet has approved an interministerial committee to examine and report on the matter of street vending. The committee is broad-based, and it includes representatives from the building board, who has a critical role to play in spatial development, the Ministry of Sustainable Development, Justice and Legal Affairs. 2 vendors will be on that committee. The Royal St. Christopher Nevis Police Force, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Chamber of Industry and Commerce, the Transportation Board, the Inland Revenue Department, and on Monday we added the Ministry of Health.
Yes, it includes 2 vendors. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Thank you for holding.
Thank you, Passage. Good evening. I reached you real late, but never mind. I'm going to make a little sharp input. Passage, Dr. William Manasseh Connor is deceased. His soul rest in peace. You know, we used to always say, some people cannot stand prosperity. They're so accustomed to get knocked out that when prosperity comes, they cannot stand it and they cannot sleep good. Well, some people in St. Kitts, let me say that, they cannot stand prosperity. They prefer, they're accustomed to get knocked out. So they're prone to knock out. Now that you got a good government here who cares about people and the country, look how many things this government here improved on. Things that could have been done years ago, never been done. This government come and they do it, make things easier and better for people. And they're still building and cussing. Where's the one the government to do? Go up and tell God, come hold me hand and do this? Eh? Come on, people, it's just like a street bum eating out the garbage pan. Every day he or she cannot get sick. Because their stomach don't prone to what they eat out of the garbage pan. And anyhow you take them out of the garbage pan situation and you give them good food, they get colic. And end up in the hospital and sick. And as soon as you let them go free again, they go back in the garbage bin. Because the stomach cannot take the good food. And that is what happening around here. The government, the Prime Minister and his government is listening to the talks on the radio, the people them. He's listening to the cry. And they know the need. And they're walking slowly but surely and safely to lead the people, to lead everybody to the need that we're asking for. So what do you want the Prime Minister to do? The farmer man bringing a man here named Alki David, cock a foot on the desk and bust bad word in the office to give Alki David the land, our land, where he says it's his time to distribute the land. Distribute the land to Alki David to come here, to bring him and them, the white man them to come in, to come plant marijuana, pan the Rasta man them back, who don't get a lot to lock up in jail for marijuana. Well, no, this government said no, in our work so. The farmer committee to deal with the marijuana system, and when they're ready to cultivate marijuana, all of these men who are interested in marijuana, they will get a job in the field. Patches, time short. I will talk to you Monday if I live. Have a good night. God bless.
God bless you as well, my dear brother. We go straight back to the lines.
God bless you, Patches. Good evening, sir.
How are you, my brother?
Not bad, not bad. We haven't spoken for some time.
Yes,
yeah,
you abandoned me.
You did a good job at educating me tonight, man. I was not aware that it was the Labour government in 2002 that passed the vending laws to get vendors off the street or to prevent a build-up of vendors on the street in Bastille. I was shocked when I heard you read about that law. Because when I listen to a certain radio station in St. Kitts, propaganda radio station, one would never think so. It looks as though you have to direct them to that law so that might quiet them down a bit. Because they overdo things. They make the vendors feel as though this government is trying to put them out of bread and butter and then put them into starvation and that kind of thing, not realize that laws were there long before this government came into effect. And these guys, the present administration, took the step of getting a committee to look at it. They just didn't jump straight into the law and bring down the police and the people. They used the committee, including vendors, to look to see what is best for them. I mean, I was really, really shocked. But I was just thinking, for some of the vendors, though, those who might not want to be in the market. We can't have them on the streets, but there's a big plot of land east of the Newtown playing field. I don't know if there's somebody would wish to go there for persons who wish to purchase from vendors but not have the parking problems that they might have in Bastille. I don't know what you think about that.
Well, it's an option, but we may want to use that land for other things as well.
Yeah, at the moment it's just sitting there. I don't know if it's being used for anything at the moment, but I think it's just sitting there. But just for persons who... I know that there's a lady who we buy bananas from, and she's in that general area, and she seems to do reasonably well. The other thing, too, that came up that I was shocked at from the Freedom radio station, the anti-vaccine people, is that today there was some breaking news coming out of Antigua that from the 1st of August, the Gaston Brown government has said that if any person entering a bar, a restaurant, or a place of entertainment must show proof that they have been vaccinated. But the way at which these anti-vax people go on the Freedom radio station, you would think that vaccinations are something brought on by the devil. But we've seen things happening in other countries. But they keep the people here ignorant. They don't tell them what is going on in the neighboring islands in relation to vaccination. But keep us dark. Poor us. I'm sorry for us. Have a good night, Patches.
It's like they was saying that we're the only country with a state of emergency.
I know. That's the kind of thing. They keep us ignorant. And there's so many of those ideas. As you pointed out the other night, there are other Caribbean islands with a state of emergency. But they fool us off. They got this propaganda radio station and put crap in people's minds. And there are a lot of things going on pertaining to vaccinations that we have not done in St. Kitts, and this government probably won't even do. But they make it sound as though that Timothy Harris and his government are the most wicked people out. They want to put on mark on the beast and all kind of stupidness on you. And these are coming from supposedly intelligent people, some of who are doctors. Anyhow, let other people talk. Have a good night.
Have a good night. Thanks for your input. And yes, it was in 2002 the Street and Sidewalk Vending Prohibition Act was passed in Parliament under the Douglas Labour administration to prohibit street and sidewalk vending, but they never had the political will to execute the legislation. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, thank you for holding. You're live.
Hi, how are you? Good night.
I am peaceful.
Good night. We say market and it's market they be. Let us stay in the market, not up and down the street. As soon as you tell somebody go in this area and go in the area and go in the area, they're going to full out the place. They're good. Let us stay there. Harris again. See you.
Okay. Yeah, we'll find a way to balance the collective rights of all. Let's go back to the lines. Call you live.
Good night, Patrick. This is Dumpling speaking.
How are you,
Patrick?
Dumpling?
Oh, I'm fine. Patrick, a lot of them making a lot of noise and talking about how Mr. Harry to ask the people them for the road. But Patrick, you know, when you used to walk the lead wild wheel, when Mr. Bat and them had the big boat, they used to carry out people by Chrissy them boat to go St. Thomas and St. Croix. And they used to pick up the people them who going out to go out to the ship, to the boat. They used to be selling on the sidewalk all up there in front of Rams and Miss Garage supermarket. And Mr. Bradshaw take them up off of the road. You know that. all between the lead wall and alley there used to be. And he packed them in the market. He said he built a market for street vendors to go show. At the time, nobody used to sell no food. He only used to got this man named Barman. Used to up, somewhere about up there by the cinema, up by where the badge them used to sell Marby, Cape, and where. And in the market used to be whole everybody. You understand me? Nobody used to be on the sidewalk. The only spot Mr. Bratcher leave on the sidewalk. He said the people were selling nuts and sugar cane. And the freighter car, them, park up to sell the freighter. Well, the time was 2 freighter cars now. Duldal and Mr. Powell were dead. Used to come home with his freighter car when they get the oil from the Iceland to go uptown. But Patrick's tongue looked like in the 60s. You could walk on the sidewalk, them. Because let me tell you, we used to up there selling shilling nuts on 4th Street. And the foreigners, them make Gloria run. They run Gloria, make Gloria go down by the clock. You understand? All down there, they used to want to come to Gloria. To go down run from them. It's there you're selling. You're selling there for years. And the next thing I want to talk about, Patrick, a lot of them talking about how the food people them, when all I want the police them to do, the people them they was through the alley, dear boy, Cooley, when they were fixing the the throwing the place, they moved them and they carried them up there. Some of them may rent because they believe the big and the bad. They go in tongue. But them people who sign up to the and paying the money by the electric light for them to get a little current. Like Miss Kelly, a girl from up Monkey Hill, and a girl named Sonia Sargent. Them three, the only three between you. Let the people go back and sell the food because right now they ain't selling. And the people want to know where the people them who selling black pudding people go back up there, let the police them lawyer go back up there. Catching me studying them, you know, because you used to hear me talking about the same sidewalk, you know. Going down 4th Street, you can't walk on this small sidewalk. Because this woman used to think she says that she could get a room on the sidewalk and she got a big long table pushed open. So when you're passing and people there buying from her, you falling down in the road, you have to hold on and care. And the government, right? I don't know what happened to them and coming with a load of very story. The government doing good. I'm good. This is dumpling. See you.
Thank you. Dumpling, you go straight back to the lines?
Yes. Good evening, and I will practice me again. The Panic Factory radio station used to work there. As I said for a lot of years, and now the Panic station got a good station. So once they got a good station like the Panic station. So I stopped calling the Panic station. See you.
Thank you.
You're blessed, man.
Let's go back to the lines. Call you live.
Yeah, blessed. Honorable and Bratted Liburd.
Your humble servant.
Yeah, blessed good evening, man. Yeah.
Same to you, my brother.
Yeah, Honorable and Bratted Liburd. I'm really wondering, CPL. I wonder why our government is against the people of segregation. The citizens of this beautiful country can go to one of our to look at a CPL if they is not vaccinated. But the players and officials could come to our beautiful country, come with thousands of dollars, and walk them and walk. not being vaccinated, but we and the citizens can go to the park to look at the game if we are not vaccinated. Why are the government is against the citizens of this country?
The players not vaccinated?
Huh?
The players not vaccinated?
There are players and officials that is not vaccinated. All of the players and officials is not vaccinated. But yet they could come with thousands of dollars. And our citizens can't go to the park to look at the game if we is not vaccinated. Why are the government is against the citizens of this country? Why are we abusing the citizens of this country? The medical chief of staff say that there is no discrimination for unvaccinated people. So if it is not discrimination, why it is crucifixion?
Well, it's crowds are super spreaders, they say. So if you have, I mean, you see what happened to the country in about 9 weeks. I mean,
I know exactly what happened. What happened was just a vaccination drive. Because the first phase of community spread, you hear me? The very first phase of community spread will take place from somewhere around about December 2019 to about February, March in 2020. That was the first phase of community spread. No government official, no medical official was saying nothing. The people went to that on their own. I was a part of that, so I could speak of that. Me not a scientist, but I know that was the first phase of the community spread. And no government official, no medical official was saying nothing. Because they never get in out of approval yet. Because we got to wait for people to tell us everything. Because through the international beggars, we have to wait for the approval. Because we can't make decisions of our own. We have to accept because we are international beggars. It is unfortunate, but this government, to me, appears to be against the citizens of the country. This is the very worst I ever seen government, you know, and I will be untouchable about, you know, because they are them pledge, leading up to the 2015 election, what they are them pledging, not even one thing touch up to now. The people who call and support the government, that is okay. You support the government of your choice, but to be fair to the program, the item is the very worst so far ever in government. Not one thing that the IM pledge in leading up to the 2015 election touch up to today. Ask big lies.
You went off island?
Eh? No, I hear all the time.
Well, they fixed the old road bay.
No. Road and bridges was not a part of the complaint. That wasn't what you were pledging. And I will be on practice like that wasn't what you were pledging. Your pledge was a constitutional reform, good governance, electoral reform. And them the other things you were pledging, no. You ain't touching any of them yet, no. You road and bridges. You work with the government, no worry about that. That you work with the government. Road and bridges.
My brother, the first step to reform the constitution was not supported by the opposition. For you to change the constitution, you need a 2/3 majority. And when it went to the parliament, the opposition did not support the constitutional reform. You recall?
That's what you're saying. That sounds good to me. You got all the support you want right now. You got all the support you want now. So you could put anything on the table right now because you got all the support. You ain't got to rely on your permission right now.
Right now, the focus is on protecting lives.
Protecting lives.
Even your life and my life.
Protecting lives or taking the vaccine? Which one? Because the more people that take the vaccine, right? You hear me?
Uh-huh.
The more higher The mutation can take place, you know. The more dreadful mutation we don't got, you know. With the more people take the vaccine, you know, the higher percentage of vaccine be, the higher the mutation is going to be. Trust me. It is not a pandemic, it is a pandemic. Ask Kulunji. It is not a pandemic, it's a pandemic. So you have to fulfill it out.
My brother, I want to thank you for your contribution.
Yeah, man,
this is what straight talk is all about.
But it is unfair for the citizens to go to the park to look at the game, but yet the players and officials to come make money in the park. Not being vaccinated the same way. It is sad and it is very sad. Yeah, man,
from the television, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, so we look at the television. But thanks for your input. That's what straight talk is all about.
Yeah.
Go straight back to the lines. Call it live.
Yeah, Patches. Good night, Rock. Good night, Janet and Esther Queen. Patches, one thing. You know, a few people, house roof, that was scheduled to be replaced by this government here. Up to now, they haven't been done. And you know the reason why the government had to hold off on that project? Because material were constantly being stolen by people who were responsible for getting those roofs fixed. Good night, Patches. Say no more.
Night. Go back to the lines. Call you live.
Good night again, Patches. Now, Patches, we have to government to form a government minister. Always on the radio, in the panic factory, talking all kind of things, saying all kind of things about the government.
Politics.
Politics. One of them got to leave the former prime minister, the former government, because the former prime minister was the same former prime minister and only listen to him. And all kind of thing. He could not get away with him. And he got to leave. And come out and say all kind of thing. One of them, he was the deputy prime minister. He could not even go and say he could make a presentation. He only could represent the constituency. He only could do many things in the constituency number 3. And now upon the radio finding all kind of things to say. And gone back with the same man who you don't criticize and say all kind of things about. But I want to know who is think it's going to take these two gentlemen real. Who talk about listening to man could convince anybody. You understand? These men was there with this farmer leader of this country. Look at the village up to now, look at the village. Up to now the village can't get itself. Village win cup, they win cup under the government, win this, win that. And up to now village don't got a sensible playground. Don't got a real stadium and nothing. And he was the representative village. That's what the people have got to do what they got to do 2020. That is what they got to do what they got to do. The man is a lame duck. And come in and not come and talk about this and come and talk about that. But they criticize people. What wrong with the village? What wrong with them, the boy? Petition advance to knowledge. This look like labor that people don't need to vote you because people vote for labor. Look at the young girl come. The young girl come for us there to work for. The girl come on campaign and talk to the young people and she delivering for them. We in a pandemic and she is the minister of health. And although she is the minister of health, she's still trying to endeavor best. He didn't do nothing. Look to the back, there we have the two going on the back over so. But learn kill. All them land there, he with the farmer leader sell out to train.
I've got you.
Train got all them land there.
I've got
you. You say something, Patel?
I said I got you loud and clear. I got you loud and clear. Thanks. You there?
Hello.
Hello? Yes,
Hello,
you're live.
pleasant good night, Mr. Liburd. How are you doing?
Good night.
This
Sound
is
like my warrior
good
from
night.
the east.
Yes, this
Good
is
night.
Pat. I was not gonna
Pat,
call in, but I
yes.
called in and the caller about two people before Mr. Politics. I think he was some before. Anyway, he was saying that how come that the people of St. Kitts have to take vaccine to go into the game, and the people who came into the island didn't have vaccine. Could he prove that? No, I'm not here to bash anybody because they pay their phone bill, they have the rights to their own opinion and everything. But I want to let him know that if he don't have facts, don't come on the radio and be talking the propaganda. Because here in the Virgin Islands, you can't go to functions without you had a vaccine. Now, this year is 2 years now, they didn't have any carnival. But what they did, they had some kind of shows or something. I don't participate in those things. But I listen and I read the newspaper. And nobody could have entered those shows, those things, unless they're vaccinated, okay? Okay? And we in quarantine, we ain't had nothing down here. But the shows them decide, no vaccine, no, you cannot come in. Right now, down here in St. Thomas, a friend of mine tell me, the one the holla, is a stripper, he said, you know what they said, you got the sign saying no mask. You can't come in there without a mask. Into the strip club, them have it on. No mask, no A. So, tell him, I don't think that my Prime Minister of St. Kitts is so naive. And the CEO, Dr. Hazel Lars, and Mr. Wilkerson, and all those, and Mr. Samuel, is so naive to have people coming into the country where they're trying to fight a pandemic to cause chaos in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. I need people to come with positive. If you don't have the truth, don't come and do it. I agree with your phone, you prefer your phone. But my thing is this, don't think that the Prime Minister is cheating St. Kitts and Nevis, letting us stepchildren and things. We down here, we wish we had a Prime Minister like that to think, because right now, the Delta is in the Virgin Islands. Look at Tartola. Tartola was pushing in line to get vaccines Saturday and Sunday. So you all should be grateful and don't be spreading down rumors and remember how you got to take, I can't go in big game because I not take vaccine. Take the vaccine if I know good for you. Take the vaccine if I know what is good for you. I'm not compelling nobody to do what they don't want to know. But if I know what's good for you, you take the vaccine. Have a pleasant good night, catches. God bless the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and God bless the Prime Minister.
God bless you as well. We go straight back to the lines. Call you live.
Yeah, blessed honorable and bracket Liburd.
My brother.
What the lady was saying just now is beautiful. Beautiful. All she has to do, investigate it. Because what she's saying is beautiful, nothing wrong with what she's saying, you know. So all she has to do is to investigate what I'm saying. And she will see where we go.
Are you there, caller?
Eh?
Are you there?
Yeah.
What is your source of information?
Where
do you get your information from?
Where the source of information be? Eh?
Yes. I want to look for it. I want to go and research it.
My source of information is coming from the news item that I come to from St. Christopher and Nevis that I hear on the radio. According to the minister, the minister says 90% of the players and officials is vaccinated. 90% is everybody. According to the minister of sport.
Okay. I will check that.
So what he says is fine. Investigate it. Yeah, man, give thanks.
Give thanks, my brother. Your source of information is the Ministry or Minister of Sports, you said. We take that on face value. Call you live.
Package?
Yes, the Bible man.
I was listening to the news today, and in one of those countries, I don't know if it's Guyana, I don't know if it's China, the people on the road, the unvaccinated people on the road demonstrated because the government said that they turn away. Now I'm going to tell you something. I don't ever hear this. In America, I don't ever hear it. 148 people went to the court, and the court tried out, and the judge tell them the hospital is right. They was unvaccinated, and the hospital said, no, you can't come in here. So when people listen that then somebody come and they really talk it. And so when we get outside news, that is, people must understand that the panic factory, the panic factory is really making people, why you don't talk about what happened in 20 years? Why you don't talk? I live under 20 years. And I'm finished my package. I manage the ball long water over the oil. You know what I put about in my package? And you ain't going near that. But I can tell you that people are with nobody there. You remember 2 persons died when the sugar industry closed, and what put them at home forever. So I don't know why people, many people, man, you don't get hardship, and that was that only 20 years. So many what people are going with. Let me tell you something. You remember the hurricane come and you had to pay for put on, you got the material yet. You still had to put on the roof, pay to put on the roof. Now this government coming power. Now you had the government now is paying $5,000 for put on the roof. Some minutes where people go on with a mock. But they say, I can tell you something. The man for the Paris market, hate the government, hate the prime minister, somebody. So you say anything, when them hear say something, I say, my God, you hate the man's guts. That is, you stand still. God put you that, God put you for a purpose. I got some passage scripture for you next week. By the grace of God, I'll go read them and bring them to show you how God look after his children and them. That's it. The Bible says, this poor man cried, and the Lord heard him. The people, they went through the pressure. After they went into God, and God heard them, and God removed Douglas out of office. So, let's see what they're trying to do. So, that's it. Have a pleasant night here, and God bless you.
God bless you as well. You know, after the 2015 performance, this activist said this.
Good evening to you, Patches, and good evening to your listeners, home and abroad. One good term deserves another. They said one good term deserves another.
Yes, that's why Team Unity is here. Mr. Liburd reads this email. Good evening. Your show is enlightening. I write tonight to alert these want-to-be Yankees who compare what happens in St. Kitts to the USA. That the NFL has said you don't vaccinate and you are positive, you lose the game. And you cover the financial costs. So teams better vaccinate their players, reads this email. Now, when our business place in Bastia said no job in your establishment has your name on it, you don't want to vaccinate, that is fine. But you won't work for us. Good night, Patches. Please come home. Bless you. Reads this email. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, thank you for holding. You're live.
Patches, good night.
Good night, Mr. Jamdown.
How are you, my brother?
I am peaceful. Yourself?
I'm fine, my brother. Patches, the topic is so timely. And we got to be grateful to have a prime minister. Somebody who is thinking. But I want him to add a little bratcher into his prime ministership, you know. He got to be a little firm. Because we got some people down here. They're just full all about themselves. Even we came to, you know, Patches. But I want to say to a young man that Irish Town, McKnight, is not going to take what politician on the right and politician on the left give us, you know, when we elect them, you know. I want to let him know, you know, a lot who was behind him have shop down in Irish Town. Joyce got shop. Chessy got shop. Jacqueline got shop. Ale shop there. A lot of shop in McKnight who was supporting him. And when he done just rest us down and go on his Bastia because they know what they do to you. The Catholic school boys, them, they know what they do to you. But they don't work here, you know. Because Pam Party ain't belong to no family. And I want them to hear me loud and clear. The Pam Party ain't belong to no special family. This is Jamdong talking here. And they don't cause no division in Pam. Big shot and small shot. It's small people build Pam. And I want them to know that. When they're ready to fight the fight, we don't fight. So let them understand that. Patches, I want to see what's going on over by the square with this thing. Where they're going to put the people in the North Independence Square. That sandbox tree got to move. It's a nice area. The new of the land is so big. And the committee got to stop isolating themselves and come to the public. They got straight talk. Straight talk welcome anything. Anybody want to put over anything, straight talk welcome it. Come to the country. All of a sudden now you're just hiding this information and just come and doing things and conflicting the country. Come to the country. I'm making the man look bad. Come to the country. Just like how I went and working for you. We need more of that. This thing should have and the ear more. Not just going and telling people I want them there and got some policemen can't talk to people and disrespecting the program. This is Jamdong talking here. My friend Cromwell, you didn't hear the day when the police was unruly to the public. When I reached there by the car to buy me lunch, it had about almost 20 people waiting for the lunch patches to run back in on the job. And the police are mean. He don't stop the young man with one young child in his hand and two running both in the car. Let the people serve the country. Let us serve the public. It's his customers. Every day he cater for them. And that young man went back home with all the food. Jamdong ain't gonna support them things. These are things we fight against. And I want you to know, you know, when police wrong, they wrong in me, bro. And you went on voices and talking like, I ain't a stupid man. I no more to think it's on you. Charlton Japan, I no more about think it's on you. So don't feel like I'm a crazy man, man, know what I'm talking about. Because Cromwell know what I'm talking about. But he does that police, I understand that. It's an organization. So you don't want to hear about what make the world feel like you don't know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. I was there. Nobody don't come and tell me things and I run and hear, you know. Because they can't play them game with me. When I tap up this phone, I talk truth. Because straight talk, welcome truth. Patches, have a good night. This is Jam Down.
Have a good night, my dear brother. You never vanish the truth. On Straight Talk, we promote truth, nothing but the truth. It's sometimes uncomfortable, but truth is what we promote. Call your life.
Yeah, good night, Mr. Liburd. And good night to all the listeners with across the planet. I'm going to be short because I'm going to say this, Mr. Liburd. I don't care who vex. People cannot just come in this country here and set up shop and sell and do what they want, even without a work permit or without even contributing to the national treasury. And I see this happening a long time. Long time. People just come and do as they like, and I want to just commend the government for making a move here and speeding up the sidewalk. And at the same time, I would like to see some vendors have license to operate. Have a good night.
Have a good night. That's sound proposition. Have them organized. Call your life. Hello, caller.
Hello. You will again me. Thanks to Mr. Emery for the bread them. They gave today. I father would have been father birthday anniversary and all the rest of them should have done like Mr. Emery who got bakery. He wants a week. Sell the cheap bread. Why not and get one free? Thanks to Mr. Emery and God bless all this. The other one was there. Yeah, my friend. I'll see you. Take care.
Thanks to Mr. Avery for the bread. Straight Talk, thanks Mr. Avery. Ernest. He's always a giver. Call your live. Hello, caller. Now, you may have just joined me. And we are winding down. But we looked at street vending tonight. But let's take this call. Call you live.
Hello, good night.
Good
Hello.
night, my dear.
Patches, good night.
Yes,
How are you?
live.
How are you?
I am peaceful.
Okay.
I am peaceful.
Okay. I agree with Dumpling. With the roads here, where these ladies sell pudding and some people sell food. I did not, you see, people outside is who give us information because if these people already paying the contribution and paying cover there, I think we could leave them there. It's only about 3 or 4 of them to sell there. You understand? So I think whoever doing this food storage should put that into consideration and leave those 3 ladies up there. Have a good evening.
Up where? Up where? Where? Exactly where? Oh, she's gone. I heard Dumpling, but I didn't get the exact location. But here's what. Let's take this other call. Call you live. Okay, I'll take a few more calls as a bonus since we started pretty late. I'm sure the mayor from St. Paul's won't mind if I encroach a bit. But in the event you have just joined me, you got up late, we looked at street vending tonight. And I'm sure we will agree that it plays a critical part within the economy. Let's take this call. You're live.
Hello?
Hello, caller?
Yes, I think the location
Yes, you're live.
is Low Shea Lane. I think that is the place that the lady was referring to just now. Low Shea Lane.
Low Shea Lane.
Low, yes, yes. Okay, bye.
Okay, that's Lady Selda's pudding. Okay, let's go back to the lines. Call you live.
Actually, the down Shea Lane and the dumping them talking about, right down there by the terminal. And man, as my good friend, you can't cut down trees like that. If the sandbox tree ain't doing no harm, I think they need to leave it. You can't cut trees just like that. Okay? The trees them there for use. As you have a blessed night. I was talking about the provision them where I buy 2 sweet potatoes for $9, and I know I can't talk or spend my money. It's a problem to people. Everybody was saying these ton and they were selling these things a day. Them is local grown thing. You want to sell a sweet potato for $8 a pound, and when I go home and I cut the potato, ain't good, and I can't talk. It's my money. That is good night.
Good night, my dear. Straight talk, we don't vanish the truth. Call you live. Yes, caller. Here's what, I'll take one more call and then I'll run. I give you a few seconds to get in your last call. Because we're talking about street vending tonight. I'll take this and make this my last call. Call you live.
Hello, my friend Jacqueline in Unity. The sandbox trigger mash up the project. It's right in the road where you could get proper entrance to go in it, Jacqueline. You gotta come, when you come up, you will see what I'm talking about. The sandbox tree need to go. And to leave in the sandbox tree there. The player haters, them around who hate Unity, they might even light fire in there. So let me get some clearance that we could see in there when we passing through the square night time. Have a good night, Jacqueline. We love you in Unity.
Okay, that's the way we're gonna end it tonight because my time is done and I've got to run. I started a bit late tonight and I am grateful for your understanding. But we were looking, as I said, at the issue of street vending. And it cannot be disputed. It just cannot be disputed that street vendors constitute an important segment of the urban population at the bottom of the pyramid. It provides a source of employment and thus acts as a measure of urban poverty alleviation without major, if any, government intervention. Street vending also has a prominent place in the urban supply chain and provides inexpensive and convenient access to goods and services to all segments of the population, including the poor. I can testify to the fact that sometimes at 6:30 in the morning, I went down there close to Kentucky, and my dear daughter would sell me some nice green figs at 6:30 in the morning. So they all have their part to play and provide access to many people. Street vending, however, it has generated enormous controversy throughout St. Kitts. We agree on that. Debates involve registration, taxation, licensing, health and safety regulations, especially where food is involved. Pedestrian traffic and safety, there are concerns as well. And urban policies to control and govern. Like everywhere else in the world, in St. Kitts Nevis, the pandemic has put a strain on businesses large and small alike, thus deriving the lack of job opportunities and forcing people into street vending in order to earn an honest living. So the lack of gainful employment coupled with poverty in some rural areas has pushed people out of their villages in search of better existence in Bastia, the city. But street vending existed long before, but mushroomed as a consequence of the closures that have had a significant impact on the economy, like the closure of the 300-year-old sugar industry. And the administration before this one, I made mention of the fact, introduced in 2002 the Street and Sidewalk Vending Prohibition Act, Cap 18.33, which made provision for the establishment of vending booths at the ferry dock at Liburd, Bastia, and to prohibit street and sidewalk vending in Bastia, and to provide for related or incidental matters. But they never had the political will to execute the legislation. Team Unity is not executing the legislation, but I found an alternative for these street vendors. The government has introduced an interministerial committee. Recommendations have come forth. But there are stakeholders, all stakeholders that have to be addressed. Even the street vendors themselves, they ought to be consulted. And that is my story, and I'll stick by it. I'm not moving away from it. I spoke to the International Street Vendors Day, celebrated on the 14th of November each year. It is a day that provides that the Street International, who support organizing among street vendors around the world to address their common needs and challenges. Despite open markets and street vending being in places where most people buy their food, government closures to prevent the spread of the coronavirus have left millions of vendors all over the world without any social protection. In St. Kitts and Nevis, it's not that way. The government decided to create a cluster for street vendors in the public market to control the community spread of coronavirus and make contact tracing much easier. Yes, we can argue that the public market needs enhancing, and that I'm sure will come. That could be improved. We've heard talk about going up a second floor. I'm sure the government will find some money to enhance the market and centralize these vending. This has met with some resistance, and I'm sure that was expected, as change never comes easy, but we have to accept that change is unavoidable. Street vending, I submit, is an entry into commerce, and we have to be able to tolerate it and facilitate it. However we do it, it must be in the best public interest, and there must be a balance of all the collective rights.
I am all for street vendors and street vending. My grandmother was a street vendor. My mother is a street vendor. And so I have absolutely nothing against street vendors and street vending. We have to respect the right of these persons to earn a living, the individual right to work. That is their job. That is how they earn an income. And so they have a right to do that. But at the same time, the public has a collective right to access and to use public spaces, sidewalks, readily comes to mind as one of such public space that the public has a right to. So how do we balance the individual right to earn a living or to work with the public's collective right to use public space?
How do we balance the collective rights of all the stakeholders? I will expand on what the superintendent asked. And as I wind down tonight, I salute all the street vendors for their hard work and contribution to the society and the economy. Street vendors are workers with the same right to organization, representation, and social protection as other workers. That's my story, and I'm going to leave you with it, because my time is done, and I got to run. I want to thank Almighty God for guiding our conversation tonight, and as always, I want to thank you, many listeners who stuck around even after our late start tonight, which I apologize was due to circumstances beyond our control. I want to thank you, the many callers. There are those on social media, my Facebook massive and my YouTube massive as well. Thank you, my emailers. And those of you who listen religiously every Monday and every Thursday on 96.5 FM, the Big Bad Radio ZIZ. I want to thank the man on the console, the mayor from St. Paul's, Theophilus Theo Clark. Don't you move your dial. He will be here right after this program exits. I want to thank those in the back room, Bevan Wilkerson and John James. Without them and without you, there will be no Straight Talk. So I say a big, big thank you. Until we connect on Monday for another edition of Straight Talk, have yourselves a wonderful weekend. Have yourself the best supports left of tonight. And remember, whatever your mind conceive, that you will achieve. All you gotta do is to believe. As my Bible friend, the Bible man John J. said, trust in God, and He will never let you be ashamed. Bye-bye, my Straight Talk family. Keep moving on.
GQ from the morning show right here on ZIZ. It's on every weekday morning from 6 to 11 a.m. with yours truly, and we play the biggest hits on your radio. It's your At Work Network morning show. Power 96.1.
Every Saturday from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. ZIZ Radio goes into overdrive with the Magic Fingers Ronnie Rascal Mega Mix Show. You heard? Up your dial to 96.1 FM. It's the show that brings the vibes to your Saturday afternoon lime, bar hopping, party hangouts, or just driving around.
You don't want to miss the Saturday Mega Mix Show. You don't want to miss the Saturday Mega Mix Show.
It's old school and new school remixes by yours truly, Magic Fingers, Ronnie Rascal, every Saturday from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. ZIZ Radio.
Join ZIZ Television every Monday at 8:30 in the evening for Health Wise. It's a program to keep you healthy and wise. Join the discussions to look at issues that affect your health. That's Health Wise live on ZIZ Television, Mondays at 8:30 in the evening. Tune in.